Well, hello everyone. Hope you're doing well. It looks like we're back to another Constantine request uh, for this week. So we'll take a look at him in a minute. Um, One of the things I wanted to talk about before we started. By the way, I hope everyone's doing well. I hope the apocalypse is treating you well. But basically, a member of the community is always answering questions is Dras Nagata. I can't pronounce your name, Dras. I'm sorry. But basically, he's also Imperial Hobbyworks. Now, sometimes when I'm running a tournament, I need a question answered. I'll throw something quickly, and I'm not even running a tournament, playing in a tournament. People turn to me for a rules question. And the way I get it is I put something generally Star Wars Armada Discord. Get an answer really quick. The tournament continues. I have explained usually why the answer is that. That's really helpful. Um, but 50% of the time, the person who answers the question is Dras. He runs Imperial Hobbyworks, and he's helped a lot of us out. So, uh, Biggs from Steel Strategy and Geek 17 from Cannot Get Your Ship Out pointed out that he has a Ko-Fi page. Um, and basically, all the work and stuff he's done, a lot of us said we'd chip in a coffee or two. So if you're interested in helping out another member of the community who does a lot of work with rules and stuff like this, and has helped out a lot of the podcasts and blogs over the years with explaining stuff, has helped Karnak, encourage Karnak to do Star Wars Armada Explained, and you want to spread a bit of Christmas joy, just go here, buy him a coffee. Anyway, I'll have a link in the description below. But yeah, that's a thing you could do if you wanted, just randomly. Don't know. Anyway, so Thanos Ilix asked, "Have you done anything about Constantine, and is he viable now? Do you think?" It's the only comment on the video. So, as per the rules, if we are building a Constantine list, we'll also build a Galactic Republic list as well. Um, But he also asked the question about that many. Um, uh, the list I built last week had a lot of projection experts. Question was, you can't really play this in real life. You don't have that many. There's a couple of things there. There's more than one in the upgrade pack, which I encourage everyone to get if you can. Old players, you get the errated cards, and you get more copies of cards you already have. New players, it gets you on the road. It gets you every Galactic Civil War upgrade there is. You don't need to buy a Superstar Destroyer to get the 1 point Darth Vader officer. It's fantastic for just getting you started or getting you up to date, or if you want to pull crazy shenanigans that require 3 or 4 upgrades, it helps. The other thing is people in your community will lend you multiples if you're trying something in a tournament, or if you only have 2 to 3 and you need it on 5 ships. Just discuss it with the TO before what the situation is. Obviously, don't assume that people will have cards to lend, or the TO will have fine uh, saying if it's a informal tournament that, oh, I only have 2 copies, but I'm running 5 in my list. Make sure everyone is happy or clear or is happy to lend you. But there are ways around this thing. So, the community is usually good, and if you want to try something a bit mad, let people know. Um, you know. Anyway, so we're going to have a crack at Galactic Republic, and we will have yet another crack at Constantine. Let me bring up my notes. So, uh, like a lot of people, I've been thinking about Constantine as in you have total battlefield control, uh, and you do funky stuff with it. My thoughts is a double arc. So, ship that loves to double arc, and you're probably not seeing with Constantine, is the Kuwait. Now, it has lost some power since the changes to some of the cards, but it can be our large or medium ship. If it dies, we're in trouble anyway. So, this is the thing. If it gets to run around and do whatever it wants to, that's fantastic. It's an ISD, it doesn't have a terrible maneuver chart, and it's speed 3. So, generally going to try and reduce and stay at range if we want. We only really want to get in close. We're trying to manipulate the battlefield and manipulate people's speed so that we can stay a little bit further away from those big dangerous targets. NIDA is one of the ways that'll let us do that. So, for example, maybe you lose a redirect, maybe you lose the contain, depending on what you're facing. If your opponent has like a load of non-standard crits and you know you're not going to use that contain, well then NIDA that away. That's what I'd use most of the time. Got black dice on each arc, so obvious answer is Ordnance Experts. Want a defensive retrofit, so electronic countermeasures has gotten a little bit worse. You can now require token to untap, but we're going to address that later in the list. Thing is, having that clutch defense token to be spent, you kind of need it. And lastly, go with assault concussion missiles. Now, you'll only get one go of it, but that's okay. That's fine. You get a chance to double arc. And the thing is, assault concussion missiles is just piling on the damage. Um, this way you don't have to force yourself into re-rolling on the second attack to try and get that proc, maybe turning hits into blanks. Okay, so we're going to try that. Then for a little bit of extra, we're going to go with 2 Gazantes, okay? So one is going to deal with our need to get repair tokens. Okay, so we're going with parts resupply, and we've got probably have the points spare, so let's throw Vader on it. You know, Nita, maybe we'll need some extra rerolls on the Kuat. Nita can be thrown at an airlock. It's 1 point for maybe a reroll that saves our life. Now, we are like, if somebody sees Constantine, they're maybe just navving, or maybe we're up against a squadron heavy fleet. So we've already got parts resupply for resupplying the ECMs. So why not take parts resupply to resupply slicer tools as well? And then to make it more annoying, could add TUA, we could add ECMs, be like 2 different things that need the same token to refresh is probably a mistake. However, what you can do is Eva. So if they don't accuracy that scatter, then you can just scatter to your heart's content. Um, Combined with slicer tools to get in there and stop their navving on your crucial target, and you've got to get close for Constantine anyway. This is the thing. And then we're going to do something a bit non-standard. We're going to add 2 gladiators, going to make them cheap, and we're not going to add Demolisher. We're doing this to save some points. Now, Demolisher's still good. We're not including him. Just because we think he's terrible. He's not. Trying to save a little bit of points. And 10 points is a lot. We're adding Ordnance Experts and are adding assault concussion missiles. So these guys don't need to go fast. They'll trail the Kuat. So if you want to speed up somebody into them, you can. For example, if somebody tries to hop around the Kuat to try to escape, well, maybe you let that ship escape and you slow down the next one. But they will, if let's say maybe something takes one hit from the Kuat, one assault concussion missiles, these guys are there to follow. Got 5 activations, it's not bad. And a Gladiator one will still give a small ship a bad day. You know? And then we'll add some Vader fodder. So let's add a skilled first officer, and then let's add an Ozzel. They're a little bit jumped up ahead. Again, these are very cut price gladiators. They don't have Brunson, they don't have engine techs, and nobody has Demolisher. So that's our ships. We have don't get the Kuat killed. That is the plan. Uh, Easier said than done. But yeah, the parts resupply. You spend the ECM, you spend the slicer tools, you parts resupply. Everybody gets a token, including the parts resupply. You do it again next turn, and then the parts resupply uh, spams out the last 2 tokens. So you'll get 3 uses out of ECMs, 3 uses out of slicer tools. If you're getting hit more and more than 3 turns in a row, you're probably already in trouble. Um, but you can always engineering command or whatever to try and get the token back yourself. But this way, the Gazantes can also then, rather than comms netting, they can command our fighter ball. So Thanos is a fan of TIE interceptors. So I said we'll do a small TIE interceptor mini ball. So we'll add Valen, just hangs around and you've got to shoot the countering TIEs. And Sienna, because she's the classic TIE interceptor, the best. And then just 2 TIE interceptors. So you're not gonna the world with this, but it's a nasty enough ball. There's like a lot of counter dice. Sienna is hard to kill. Sienna and Valen, even if the other ties go down, will stick around and stop bombers reaching the important bits. At least for a while. Hopefully by then you've killed their carriers. So, we've got slicer tools and we're messing with speed, go with surprise attack. And reason why is the raid tokens. Raid tokens messing with their navigation, slicer tools, and Constantine. This is not one you want to play if you're a first player. So capture the VIP, because if we're in a really tough bind, the ISD captures the VIP, and then everybody else slows down anyone attempting to chase the ISD. Lastly, then, we've infested fields. So we can easily, with enough squadrons to just barely capture the infested fields tokens. With the TIE ball and the exergarts, it'll make bomber fleets a living nightmare. At which point they've got to consider surprise attack, where they're getting raided for squadron, and you've got your slicer tools running in there, or capture the VIP, where if you're really worried, you can grab the token and force them to chase you a bit. So that is what you've got. That is our attempt at a Constantine fleet. So hopefully that gives some ideas of what you can do now. Is what it really saved there was the reduction in need for mediums. You know. Now, the new stuff. So I'm going to talk about clones a bit. So I've been playing some Clone War games, and I have been doing what I always do, which is go for value. And I'm not sure I'm right. So generally what I've been doing is I've been going for the Acclimator 1 and the CommsNet on the mini. isn't. They're cheaper. Like here you can see that's 5 points, and us on this channel, we value. Uh, get your discount chips at Discount Bob's to win. We love our test beds, of our various lower cost hulls, even our CR90Bs rather than A's some of the time. But the more and more I'm playing clone v clone, I'm like, yeah, that defensive suite does not cut it on the acclimator. One accuracy and the wrong time, and you're just dead. So this is what I've been thinking of. We've got a small technical interruption. Be right back. And we're back. Yeah, my experience with the clone ships is, and with the Munificence as well, the ECM is probably more than all the shield regens you can do. Um, but we're gonna then, on the flip side, is a lot of people don't have ECMs, so we're gonna add some clones. And then we're gonna try and pretend to be Sato without being Sato. So swivel mounted batteries. Okay, so when you reveal a command, you may exhaust this card to choose one of your hull zones and mark it with a focus token. The focus token does nothing on its own, it just indicates that the focus is in effect. While attacking a ship from that hull zone, add 1 dice of any colour from an adjacent hull zone to your attack pool. Now, this doesn't say to your armory, this says to your attack pool. Doesn't matter if you're at long range, you can still add any colour to the attacking pool. While attacking from adjacent hull zones, remove die from. When you're ready, this card, remove this focus token. Got it. Main thing is we're throwing blacks at long range, basically. Got blacks on the side of the accumulator, acclimator, even. And then we can assault concussion missiles from long range. And what's better than doing that once? Doing it twice. Now, you do a cut price version on an acclimator 1, but I feel like that's not working out that well. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to do chart officers. And you're like, but James, this is 2 points, something that isn't as good as James. Like, totally agree. However, let's say we're going first, facing our opponent's objectives. We see asteroid tactics, we go, okay, I'm grabbing that. We see dangerous terrain, we can grab that. We can pick out those objectives. And asteroid tactics is a very popular one, where landing on the is good. Or landing on asteroids is good. And to my mind, this will let us flip objectives. Now, flipping asteroid tactics is good in particular because you've got 2 tokens. Okay, now need a bit of support here, but bail. I think much more than. And we want to protect the flagship, putting impeccable on the other acclimator. So bail is the last one to go down. Acclimator is proved. Placable is proved a lot of use when played correctly. Now with these 2 ships, you're speed 3. There is no fucking need to go speed 3. I've done it with acclimators repeatedly. I've flown them off the board, and I have had people slowly and absolutely show me how acclimators fly. There is no need to go speed 3. Okay. So we want a bit of support. So let's throw Consular Armed Cruiser. Again, these guys are, maybe I haven't said this before, these are flak boats. That 2 blue is decimating the squadron. Decimating the squadron. Now, let's say you're going speed 4, you want to come back round to catch them from the side, swift return. The nav chart on this thing, with a nav command and swift return, you can fly. You may not be able to do a literal 180. Maybe a slight bit of embellishment there, but you can fly from one side of the flak ball around it and into the other side and flak out the other side next turn of a squadron engagement. And then we're just going to throw external racks, simply because, okay, we've got a technical fault. We'll be right back. And I think that's all the technical faults for this evening. But yeah, so external racks kind of does double duty. It's good anti-ship, give a small bit of a punch once off, but if there's a really annoying squadron in kill, let's say you've got a scatter race, you get a hit and an accuracy, well, then we'll pop external racks and take 3 or 2 if they have the brace. And we'll take another chart off, because maybe you can steal somebody's infested field token. It's going speed 4, extreme maneuverability. Maybe a case where you can just nip right in to stay on an obstacle to get a bit of obstruction. And we'll throw in Monster class. This time we'll go Charger. This is going to be our support ship. It's got the red dice for long firepower. And we'll give it the raid title. And what we'll do to supply our clones will missions resupply. And then we'll add a reserve hangar deck. Torrent. Just because it's cheap. 3 points to bring back 12. It's always decent. And then we'll do fighter coordination teams, or what we'll talk about in the squadron ball. This is 4 ships. If it's clone on separatists, it should do okay. And those clone gunners really punish anyone who doesn't have ECM. This is the thing, it's not swapping a dice, it's adding another blue. Suddenly you have a dice pool that is 7 dice ship, maybe assault conditioning missiles, as well as that stopping those evades at long range small ships. That's really where Sato falls down. Viable accuracies. Small ships are less likely to have, well, they might have a second evade. They're less likely to be paying the points for those counter. So the clone gunners, in addition to the swivel and assault condition missiles, can be brutal for small ships. Okay, then we're going to go with a small squad ball. So we're just 1 turret, because we've got reserve hangar bay. It can come back. And then add axe in as well. Help keep it alive, or gonna force them to attack him. That happening. And these 2 are just really going to free up our star performance here. We've got Anakin, who's really undercasted. It's a bomber who both of his own dice. He's carrying his own intel and proved intel. And like the intel that works without moving, he ignored engagement. So super effectively. His bomber, 2 dice, roll those 2 dice, got 6 hull, 2 braces. He's fantastic value. He is heavy, and we've a Ahsoka. So after you move, you may choose another squadron distance 1. This is not after you. This is after you. If you get moved by, I don't know, this, so use this ability. That squadron performs an attack against an enemy squadron at distance 1. Anti-squadron armament of 2 blue dice, which works quite well. Adept 2. Anakin can roll those 2 dice. So then let's take a look at objectives. So this kind of thing, most wanted, is always the go-to. You're attempting to do long-range black crits. You have small, fast ships that can just want the help with that. Asteroid tactics. So we talked about the deficient amount of defense tokens they have. Asteroid tactics gets them back, help your fighter ball, and infested fields then. Grab some easy points. Grab, you know, ignore those exergods. And now asteroid tactics, you're able to ignore the asteroids anyway. The chart officers will help us ignore the other things. And maybe with those two, we want to use those moving or appearing objectives to hide our ships. Chart officer allows us to do that a little bit. No, it's no Jaina's light, but it does add a little bit of. But anyway, if you're looking for Armada, the amount that's out there is fantastic. At the moment, there are people making stuff left, right. I'm currently in 2 online tournaments. Terribly why you're listening to me at all. But that is how we learn. With more to come. If you're looking for the premier event that's going to happen soon, is the World Cup is coming up in January. I have no idea what. None. And I need to figure out a list and build it. Hopefully with some exciting new things coming up on the channel soon as well. Keep your eye. For battle reports, like Master of the Fleet and Ion Radio, pumping out good contact, brace for impact is as well. I think I've seen some stuff from potentially LTD, and I'm hoping Krabok does some battle reports soon as well. Anyway, the apocalypse is treating you well. As always, the rule is if you want to be built, comments. Do you know?